Most people wouldn't show you the ugly, but I'm gonna show you the ugly. This ain't nothing pretty, so make sure you're ready for this. I don't normally do these types of videos. Today, I'm gonna show you the first impressions of a parts car, roller car, that I previously picked up on the way home from dropping the white turbo Mustang off. Now, when I went and picked this car up, it was only about 30 minutes to the west of Big Dog Fab where I had just went to. I had an empty trailer. It only kind of made sense. I needed some trim and I needed some glass for not only Hobo 5.0. I've mentioned on my live streams before that I have an FHP that's gonna need some parts too. So this was only really supposed to be a parts car anyways, but I figured I needed to pick it up anyways because I needed to make sure that it wasn't a good savable coupe, or if it was or if it wasn't. So I'm gonna give you my first impression. I mean, right off the bat, you can tell it's been hit. That's probably why this is here. And that's probably why that bumper in this spat is pushed in more. When I first showed up to the car, I didn't really expect much. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, so right off the bat, I haven't had a chance to get underneath of it, but look at this stuff. This is the shit I gotta deal with in here in Ohio. I had thought this car might be savable, but look, I don't think I've ever seen it this bad. Luckily, I didn't spend a lot of money on the car because it just needed some parts. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing out, me, cousin Paul and Fred. Cousin Fred. Yeah, I know, right? And then we'll get a better idea of what I'm looking at. I mean, knowing by the title itself, I know that this car is a 4-cylinder. So it's not a 5.0 original car and it's not an SSP, which are the two main things for coupes. So it would make a perfect drag car if it was solid. And it doesn't look terrible from the outside being from Ohio, but let's take a look inside. So I'll give you an idea. I mean, this is what I gotta deal with, bros. It's a pretty gross car. It's still got its dash. So this is what I see. I needed this trim, this glass, both quarters. I needed this tailgate's pretty nice. It's not rotted out at all, which I'm surprised. I did need a rear LX bumper, and these quarters aren't terrible. You know, minus the flower in it, LOL. But we can just restore this quarter. And of course, the fenders are actually in good shape. So yeah, here, let me show you. Let me show you what's under the hood. Sadly, being 30 years old, this is what these cars have come to. The age, the abuse, the weather. This is what we get to look forward to. This is definitely a northern car for it pretty much its whole life. I mean, the tower shot from the AC being hot and cold, hot and cold. Driver's tower is actually in pretty good shape, and that's usually the one that's rotted out first. And you can tell it's a 4-cylinder car just by the vacuum block and the brake booster, and the fact that the sway bar is only a 1-inch or 3/4, I think it is. I don't remember. So, but this is some of the stuff that we have to deal with these Fox bodies, because these Fox bodies are just they're 30 plus years old. I mean, where are we at now? 33 years old, 34 years old, and it goes back to 79. But these Euro clip ones, and the car doesn't look terrible, but when you start looking at its bones and its structure, it's just shot. I bought this car. I was only 30 minutes from it when I was driving by with an empty trailer, and the guy was about to take it to the scrapyard. Ben was a really good guy. He was you know, he sounded like he was pretty knowledgeable with Fox bodies, and he's just gonna take it to the scrapyard. I said, no, I need these parts for my coupe. Actually, it's got the original Carlite glass. That's good, savable. The trim, the windows, the quarters, the rear trim, the rear glass. There's a lot of good parts in this car. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna end up using it as a parts car. As you've seen, the underneath frame is just terrible. So these are my first impressions. Most of you guys wouldn't even touch this. You would just take it to the scrapyard. Yeah, I get it. But I'm gonna make all these parts useful for what we need to restore and rebuild a Mustang. So you gotta look at it in face value. For what I paid for the car, I'm not unhappy. Sure, it's a piece of crap. I'm gonna make this car and every bolt that I can for a 5.0 coupe that really needs some more parts. And even for an FHP car, that's gonna need its parts as well. So, all right, so what do you think we got here, boys? Outside of the stuff that I had already mentioned. Got pony wheels, they're in pretty decent shape. Spindles, the drip rail. The roof's good and clean, it's straight.
Driver's side mirror, passenger side mirror case.
The case, right, because we could restore that. Yep. We could put because we got glass inside the shop that's broken.
Yeah.
And we got good glass with shitty cases. Like I said, bumper. So this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the fact that I can take this car and make it work for not just my cars, but everyone else's cars. It's got a good quarter in it, doesn't it?
Fender flares.
Yep.
Oh, the little surface rust right there.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
not
rotted.
terrible. Well, you cut right here on the trim anyways.
Yeah.
So, you know, this could go to save a car that had been rotted real bad, because I don't feel anything under here, and that's good. You just sand that off. So that could save a car rusted right there underneath. Interior ain't much there, but like I said, there's a full dash and a shifter, which is probably junk, but we can restore that full dash and that column. All the body trim, that's correct. The spats, if we take them, because we got to WD the spats really good so we can get the screws out.
Yep.
Because those usually bust up. And this is the proper way, to be honest with you, to part out a car, because this car is way beyond bad. You seen the pictures earlier when I was sitting in the trailer, and that thing was just, I mean, I have never seen rails rotted that bad underneath of a gas tank than what I've seen in this car. And that's terrible. But like I said, I was 30 minutes from it. It was getting ready to go to the scrapyard, so I saved it from the junkyard, or at least I saved the parts to fix other cars like Hobo 50 and the Florida Highway Patrol car that I have. So we're gonna stack these parts up. We're gonna make these parts work. We're gonna probably sell some of the parts. We're gonna make sure that this car, even though it's only a 4-cylinder, that every part gets put to use. If you got a coupe out there, it's an original 50, and you got a coupe out there that needs restored, that's an SSP, man, those things are worth restoring. So make sure that, you know, you take good care of those cars, because they didn't make a lot of coupes, and coupe is probably the most popular Mustang of us all, even though I'm prone to GTs. Guys, this is what we're dealing with from here on out. They're old, they're getting rotted, they're getting wrecked, they're getting forgotten about. So this is my first impressions of what I would do with this car and what I'm gonna do with this car, unfortunately. But this is why you take care of your Mustang. You leave it out of the weather. This is why you take care of it, because there's just not a lot. They made very few. The coupes were not popular. They were the least Mustang made all 7 years. And the sales weren't very high on them. Now, they're the most sought after Mustang. That's about all I had for you today. I wanted to show you first impressions of one of my parts cars that I bring in and some of the stuff that I have to deal with here in Ohio. All right, guys, so I just wanted to end the video that I wanted to let you know that I was really hoping that coupe would have a better body and a better frame when I got there and I brought it home, but that just wasn't the case. Sometimes you just can't save them all. At least that car helped get parts for Hobo 50 that I needed anyways, and the Florida Highway Patrol car. So I live stream on Sunday nights, usually at about 7:30. So if you're new to the channel, check that out. Make sure, if you guys enjoy my content and you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below on what you think. I know it's not much to look at, but I wanted to get you guys a video this week, and I definitely wanted to show you some of the stuff that I got to deal with. I have a club membership. Hit the join button if you're interested in joining the club. Otherwise, I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate all the channels and all the people out there who support me. Thanks for the watch time. See you in the next video.